Hi, it's Colleen from Keeping the Peace, and welcome back to another episode of Colleen Answers Your Questions. Today we are in the down bar of episode 27 on this series, where we were discussing choosing the right gun for a small hand. And a gentleman under that video by the name of Gbolt on a Trail commented about the opposite problem. We sort of mentioned in that video how it's not a good fit if you can't reach the full trigger face. He's going to talk about, well, what if you have too much finger to deal with? So he says this: I use the M&P Shield and feel that the distance is too little. The distance meaning from the back strap to the trigger face. My finger gets buried on the trigger, and I think it's causing me to pull slightly left on my shots. I prefer a larger Glock, but it's not as easy to carry, and my wife would not be able to shoot it. Is there a problem with a gap between the trigger finger, palm, and the grip close to the trigger? The opposite of shifting the hand finger forward when trying to reach the trigger, as covered in this video. Thanks for your channel. It's been a great help to hear things from your perspective. Okay, I do have one gun that I'll oftentimes use as a backup. It's an ankle gun. I rarely shoot it. It's a tiny little KelTec P32. And I do have the problem that you're referring to, Gbolt on a Trail. When I shoot this gun, I have tiny hands, but with a gun this small, I do have that issue of having too much finger. I have to concentrate on keeping my finger in the proper position, and I end up, after about 50 shots on this gun, I have pretty severe pain in this knuckle from the concentration that it takes to keep my trigger finger in the right placement, because it naturally wants to creep inward until it's wrapped basically like this, and that's way too much finger in the trigger. This is what naturally falls on the trigger, but I have to force myself to keep it this way. So you can tell looking from this side that when I shoot a gun this small, I have a whole bunch of fingers sticking outside. And it does put undue pressure on this knuckle. So unfortunately, that's a sacrifice that we make when we choose tiny guns. There are applications where tiny guns are really the only thing that'll work, so we just have to make that compromise, knowing that, you know, when you practice with that gun, you just need to concentrate on keeping your trigger finger where it's supposed to be. It does take concentration because it just wants to keep slipping inward. It's not going to be comfortable enough with a tiny gun to shoot a whole bunch of rounds, so it's probably not going to be a gun you shoot very often. You just need to be able to shoot it well enough as a backup, or if it's your only carry piece, to be able to defend your life. So if you're finding that your hits are falling sideways, then yes, you're right, that definitely would cause that. Anytime you have too much or too little trigger finger, it definitely makes the gun yaw side to side. So you mentioned about a full-size Glock and worrying that your wife couldn't carry it. You might want to look into those new single stack Glocks. I've shot a couple of them. They shoot very well. If you're a Glock fan, then you might be able to consider one of those. However, they're not going to be much different than the Shield. I do have the Shield here, and the footprint on that is probably about the same. The feel is a little bit different on the Glocks, but they are thin like this. Those single stack ones are. So it might be something to look into if you like that platform, but you're probably not going to find very much difference if your hands are big or if your fingers are long. It sounds like that's your issue, long fingers. So I hope that helps you. I'm not sure it can fix your problem, but I do understand the issue that you're talking about, because with that tiny little gun, I have to concentrate on the same thing, and my hands are tiny. So thanks for your question, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.